This chicken produces 364 eggs every single year. It does not require antibiotics or any form of artificial lighting at all. It flourishes through scorching heat and through freezing cold as well. It weighs over 6 pounds and can live a strong life for up to 10 years. Every egg it lays contains twice the omega-3 fatty acids and 3 times the vitamin E of any factory farm commercial egg. For more than a century, families around the world raised this bird. Then the industrial poultry complex caused it to nearly vanish. They did not stop breeding this bird because it somehow failed. They stopped because it was working far too well for everyone. A chicken that feeds itself on open pasture will buy zero feed. A chicken that never gets sick will buy zero medicine or drugs. And what cannot generate profit for the system must be erased. This is the untold story of the legendary black Australorp hen. It is the single most productive heritage chicken breed ever created, and the one breed they have been trying to erase from history. We are here to uncover what has been hidden. If these stories truly matter to you, then subscribe and hit the bell. We are always digging up what the poultry industry buried deeply. Now let me take you all the way back to where this all begins. In 1890, a poultry breeder named William Cook began quietly changing the entire chicken world from his small farm in England by creating a new breed called the Black Orpington. He bred it from Menorcas, Plymouth Rocks, and the Langshan. It was a solid bird with good meat and very decent egg output. But William Cook's real legacy was not what he actually built. It was what happened when his birds crossed the entire ocean. Australian breeders imported those English Black Orpingtons in the early 1900s, and they had one single obsession. Not beauty, not show rosettes, not fancy feathers, or any specific looks. Eggs. More eggs. Eggs every single day of the calendar year. They crossed the Orpingtons with white leghorns on their farms, and then added Rhode Island red blood for more egg production. They added Langshan and Minorca genetics for size and stamina. They bred generation after generation, only selecting the hens that laid the most eggs while eating the very least amount of food. By 1902, the Hawkesbury Agricultural College in Australia held its first official egg-laying contest in history. 41 pens of different breeds competed side by side under identical conditions with identical feed and identical water. Black Orpingtons dominated, taking 7 of the top 13 spots. The driven Australian breeders were still not satisfied. They kept pushing even harder, kept selecting, and kept going. By 1922, something truly extraordinary happened. At a major poultry contest held in Geelong, Victoria, Australia, a pen of 6 Australorp hens laid 1,157 eggs in 365 full days. That is an average of 309 eggs per one hen without artificial lighting, without climate-controlled barns, and without any antibiotics or supplements of any kind whatsoever. Then, at the Grafton contest the very next year, a single hen on her own laid 347 eggs in 12 full months. She received no special treatment and no medical assistance at all. Then, a hen from the legendary Burns bloodline broke even that record. She alone produced 354 eggs in a year, and then came the one bird that silenced the entire world. 364 eggs in 365 days. One egg every single day for an entire year minus one day. This was not done in a laboratory. There were no hormones and no supplements. Just the open pasture in the Australian sun with a hardy bird that ate insects from the grass and scraps from kitchen leftovers. 5 primary bloodlines were responsible for creating this hen: Graham, Burns, Christie, Bertelsmeyer, and finally, Young Druitt. Each used different crosses, but all shared the same single goal: an unstoppable laying machine that could feed an entire family without costing a single penny more than what nature gives for free. For a brief and glorious moment, the entire world took notice. But before I continue, I need to tell you that this information is just the surface. There is a collection of everything the poultry industry never wanted you to know. This includes heritage breeds that lay over 300 eggs every year without a single hour of artificial light in the coop at night. There are homemade feed recipes that cost a fraction of commercial prices and can literally double your total egg production every month. There are natural remedies your grandparents used long before factory vet companies and pharmaceutical corporations ever existed. There are co-op designs that eliminate all odor and pests without spending a single penny on chemicals or expensive equipment. There are brooding methods the industry deliberately replaced so it could sell you electric incubators at $200 every time. If you have made it this far, you already know more about heritage chicken breeds than 99% of people do. Share this with someone who truly needs to hear what the poultry industry has made all of us completely forget. Everything they buried about eggs, breeds, and feeding is available to those who look. Now, stay with me because this next part is the heaviest. In 2007, Mother Earth News magazine published the single largest comparative egg study ever done in history. They tested eggs from 14 pastured flocks across America, flocks that range freely on open pasture, eating insects, seeds, fresh grass, and whatever else nature could provide. Then they compared those results to official USDA nutrient data for conventional commercial eggs sold at every supermarket. The results were so devastating for the entire poultry industry that almost nobody in mainstream media even bothered to report them. Pastured eggs had two-thirds more vitamin A than any industrial egg, twice the total omega-3 fatty acids inside every egg yolk, three times the vitamin E in each and every single egg tested, and 7 times more beta-carotene overall. 7 entire times. Those are published laboratory numbers from an accredited test center in Portland, Oregon. This is not opinion, it is hard data. In 1999, Barb Gorski at Pennsylvania State found that pastured eggs had 10% less fat, 34% less cholesterol, 40% more vitamin A, and 4 times the omega-3 compared to standard supermarket products. Think about what all of that actually means for one moment. Every single nutritional metric points in the exact same direction. Pastured heritage chickens produce eggs and meat that beat all commercial products by every single measurable standard today. And the Australorp was always the undisputed queen of the pasture. It was bred to forage freely, bred to thrive on grass and insects, and bred to keep producing without any artificial input whatsoever. So why did you never hear about this breed while you grew up? Why is it not on every small holding and in every back garden? Here is exactly where this whole story gets deeply unsettling. The entire global poultry industry is worth over $320 billion per year. The feed industry alone generates over $200 billion more in annual revenue just selling bags of grain to caged chickens. What happens to that $200 billion feed industry when a heritage chicken can simply feed itself out on pasture? What happens to the pharmaceutical veterinary industry if this single breed is naturally disease-resistant and never gets sick? What happens to genetics companies selling their hybrid patents if a heritage breed outperforms every one of them on the grass? The answer is devastatingly simple for them. They lose billions. An industry that faces losing money does what industries always do whenever their profits face a serious threat. They react. You cannot patent a heritage breed like the great Australorp. That bird belongs to no corporation on the face of this planet. You cannot patent pasture. The grass, insects, and sunlight are not intellectual property anyone can control or profit from. You cannot patent what your grandparents carried in their heads about how to raise chickens without ever buying a single thing. And what cannot be patented cannot ever be controlled by anyone. What cannot be controlled by anyone cannot generate profit. So the poultry industry replaced the Australorp with something else. They chose the Cornish cross, a bird so genetically extreme it reaches slaughter weight in 6 weeks, but cannot ever reproduce naturally and dies of organ failure if it lives past 10 weeks. They replaced open pasture with climate-controlled factory-sized barns where the birds never see sunlight or touch the soil. They replaced kitchen scraps and forage insects with soya-mixed maize rations sold at premium prices inside 50-pound bags. They replaced your grandmother's knowledge with a whole system that requires you to buy everything from them every single year. But the Australorp did not fully vanish. Here is what to do now. Step 1. Find a reputable heritage breeder, not a big hatchery. Look for someone who selects for production and hardiness. The Livestock Conservancy has breeder directories to help you start. Step 2. Give those birds pasture access and real ground to use. Even a small back garden works perfectly fine for a starter flock. The key is access to grass, soil, and insects in full sun. Step 3. Supplement with simple, affordable homemade feed. Use 60% cracked maize or wheat as the main energy base, 20% protein from soldier fly larvae or seed sources, 10% fresh greens from your garden or kitchen leftovers, and 10% calcium from crushed oyster shells or dried eggshells. Step 4. Stop buying what you do not actually need. A healthy Australorp on pasture with clean water and good basic shelter will outproduce almost any hybrid over a full lifetime. They lay through winter, they raise their own chicks naturally, and they live 6 to 10 years, producing eggs the entire time. This knowledge did not die, it was waiting here the whole time. It is waiting in every heritage flock still scratching in a yard, in every old-timer who still remembers what real eggs taste like, and in every deep orange yolk that puts shop-bought eggs to shame. Every share brings back what they spent decades trying to erase. If this story changed the way you look at the birds in your back garden, please subscribe and like this channel. We are unearthing the history they tried to bury. Let us cultivate the future together. The next hidden treasure will be revealed very soon.